So Karl Nell, it's a very
here you
important.
go.
Most people may have heard of David Grush, who's the intelligence officer who testified to some of the stuff. Karl Nell is more senior to David Grush, but from the Army, also liaison to the UAP task force that David Grush was on, and it was in that role that David Grush, discovered these programs as part of this congressional mandate to report back on these things that whistleblowers have been talking about. Karl Nell has had lots of very senior positions. He was a senior executive in both Lockheed and Northrop, as well as on Army Futures Command. I believe he's his firsthand knowledge of some of these programs. And he stated, at the SALT conference, Scaramucci's conference, like a month or two ago, he had the final keynote session, and he came out and his first, scripted line was basically, non-human intelligence is real. Non-human intelligence is here and has been interacting with humanity for a long time. And senior non-elected government officials are aware of that fact. So he just came out the gate, retired Colonel Karl Nell, senior guy, defense. He was involved in our foreign technology program, which is our reverse engineering program for foreign systems. He's held very serious positions. He said that. So the ratchet was kind of like David Grush, first guy, Karl Nell coming out validating that. He validated it before in the initial article, but he just kind of came hard to the paint and said it just straight out. And people would just, there was like an investors conference, like, what did that guy just say? Like, what?
Do you believe that a higher form of non-human intelligence has visited this planet?
Right. So non-human intelligence exists. Non-human intelligence has been interacting with humanity. This interaction is not new, and it's been ongoing. And there are unelected people in the government that are aware of that.
How confident are you that that is true?
There's zero doubt.
Love that pause he gives at the end, and there's just silence. I always leave that clip just a couple seconds more, because it's deafening, right? It's like, what the fuck?
Oh man,
like, what the fuck? I mean, holy shit.
That's
right?
the kind of like,
right?
That again, that sounds like the answer when the president goes, "Are you sure? Before I launch the nuclear weapons,
totally.
Are you sure?" There is zero doubt. Like, you have to. They're writing it.
Yeah,
that is such a final statement. What else can you say? And that's the thing. It's like,
no room to.
I'm
be
still
wrong.
here, man. I'm like, they
sense?
sold me the seat, but I'm only using the edge of it. I'm just like, let's go.
It's like there's no room to be wrong there, right? Like, if something comes out later, you look like a fool, right? Because, and it's odd to say zero doubt, or the year before Gary Nolan said 100%, right? And I find that interesting too. They choosing specific ways to declare complete confidence in this hypothesis, right?
And Elizondo, in the very beginning, he said, like, they're like, "Are you saying aliens are real?" And he goes, like, "We're past that. Like, that's beyond."
Totally.
Yes, like, we're done with that. Like, now we have to talk about what's next. And I was like, dang. And then you're right. Like, after that, Grush, and now Nell, and it's like, who's next? I mean, at some point, is the real like media news machine gonna like turn and look at this, or is this just gonna stay kind of in its own corner? It's kind of getting a little crowded in here with all these people saying the same thing.
Well, that's an interesting point. I think the news is always going to follow the legislative aspect to it, right?
Yeah.
Because they're not going to make random segments about a podcast episode that came out and some guy said something on it. They're just not.
But the SALT thing, I mean, that
the
feels
SALT
like...
thing they should have covered more, which is interesting that wasn't covered. I agree. Things like that, things like the SALT conference, even Lou Elizondo's book, he'll do a PR campaign. He's right. And then the hearings that are going to come up that Luna said are coming up, potentially that Mace is running. But yeah, there's definitely points where they've let, hit the brakes and not covered some of this. Maybe they're waiting for the ship in the
they want it
I
to
don't
be
know.
a sure thing before they even bother with it. That's
absolutely
the thing. Like, they're going to be last to, I think that's the
we have the election going on too. That's
Yeah.
going to take a lot of time.
And I don't think any disclosure stuff's going to move during the election. Like that's all going to go on pause for a while. Like that's probably why Lou's book's coming out now. It's like this is sort of a documentaries. If they're going to release them soon, it'll probably be
Lou
to keep things going.
Supposedly has a documentary coming out as well.
Does he after the book?
Yeah, supposedly that's just rumor mill. There never heard any confirmation. But definitely heard that a lot from a lot of different people. No, that Lou's got a documentary.
There's got to be more stuff on the way. I mean, I'm surprised. Wasn't there going to be a sequel to that Netflix series? Remember Encounters? That was a hit.
Yeah, I think there's another season coming out. We got the program with James Fox. That'll be, very interesting. We've got. I mean, that's really all we can confirm. That and Lou's book, and I think there's some smaller films coming out from different people, but I don't think those are going to get any sort of world attention or national attention in any way.